Okay, vaccinations. Are they a net benefit or are they a net negative? Should you get them for your kids? Should you not get them for your kids? If you don't, are you a part of some nonsense conspiracy theory? If you do you not have enough concern about the establishment that just is profit driven and doesn't care about your kids? These are real questions many people are asking. I don't have all the answers, but I have a clear answer for what I do for myself and my family, and I have enough concern that I'm giving you the information via a video today to make the best informed decision for you. So I'm Rodney Hostetter. I'm a physician assistant, but the reasoning behind my position on vaccines, it is moral, it is not medical per se. So it's not a special, I have the knowledge because I work in the medical field, and so I've researched it more, but it's not an opinion that I have made by reading medical studies. It's an opinion that I've made by understanding the reality and making a moral judgment. So early in my career, I was shocked to learn that there was fragments of human DNA from a child that was aborted inside many of the vaccines that we are giving. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it. I thought this is some kind of dystopian, conspiracy mongering information that's out there. But when I looked into it, and when you can look into it, it's obvious. It's true. There's no debate on it. So today, I'm going to give you a story that comes from a Children's Hospital of Philadelphia article in 2017. Why human stem cells are in some of the vaccines that we give. And it gives a story of how the stem cells were obtained. So the background is viruses need host cells to grow in and to replicate. After that happens, they are harvested from the cells. Some of the cell particulate matter comes with it. It's in the vaccine and it gets injected after the virus is crippled or killed. And then we make antibodies to that virus and we have immunity. But the question was, hey, is there a virus that is in the animal cells that we don't realize it's there that's going to come along and actually impact humans and it would not have otherwise? Or is there something that's not good about the particulate matter that's coming along that's from the cell of the animal in the vaccine that will be damaging to humans? So the theory became then, well, maybe we should use human cells instead of animal stem cells. So at that time, the research, I believe it was primarily being done in a Philadelphia-based clinic or institute, Winstar Institute. And there was a particular scientist, Leonard Hayflick, who had a lot of experience with these cultured fetal stem cell lines, and they came from children who had been aborted. And the NIH raised some concern saying, hey, the same thing could be true of the human cells that we were concerned about with the animal cells. Maybe there's a unknown or a virus that's not known to the scientists that's in the human cell and it's going to come along and then it's going to be mass injected into the population. Or a DNA fragment from the stem cell will come along, and there is a reasonable theory that DNA is able to, even a fragment is able to insert in other DNA. And if it is something that creates a bad DNA, are then we going to have mass health complications? So they wanted cells that were kind of pure, so to speak, so this wouldn't happen. At that time, there was a freezer failure. The scientist lost all of his cells and was unable to get new stem cells from the United States because abortion was illegal. So they collaborated with a Swedish scientist where abortion was legal. And they, in a premeditated fashion, went about picking who were they actually going to do an abortion on to harvest these stem cells, because they wanted whoever it was to be a healthy person with a healthy family history in order to mitigate some of the theoretical negative potential of what would happen if some human DNA particulate matter came along with the vaccine and inserted itself into people who received the vaccination. So This was very premeditated, and this was intentionally a healthy child. Ask yourself, if this is the case, is this organ donation or is it human sacrifice? And when I use the word human sacrifice or child sacrifice, it seems maybe excessive to the situation. But I don't believe it is, because I'm a Christian. I believe life starts in the womb, not outside the womb. And if this was a healthy child, and the child did not make the decision to give up their own life, then the child was sacrificed. This is not a case of organ donation. And that being true, from the day that I learned about it, I said, I do not want to sign off on these vaccinations, and I don't want to participate with them for my family. And we're tempted to look at history, and we think about years and years ago, or someplace now in some jungle where some barbaric priest goes about the practice of child sacrifice in order to benefit the society that they're in, to bring rain or to bring health. And we think, we would never do such a thing. That is then, that is there, that is in no way now. My argument is that it is now, except it comes from a trusted source, a family clinic on a corner of a local town with a trusted community member with a stethoscope around their neck in a very sanitized way. But the reality behind it is particulate matter from, or DNA from a child that was aborted is in the vaccine. And that being the case, I believe it is child sacrifice. I believe that when we participate with it, we are participating with the practice. And I'm out. Also, there is a number of vaxxed versus unvaxxed studies. And in those studies, the unvaccinated children get more of the diseases that vaccines are meant to prevent against. However, it appears that they are significantly more healthy than the vaccinated children. And there's a variety of arguments that counter why we shouldn't believe those studies. It has to do with sample size or bias in who was picked or bias in who did the study. There's always some kind of explanation on why we shouldn't believe that study. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I, in reading these studies, think that there is enough smoke, that there is a fire somewhere. So, primarily on moral grounds, I object. But increasingly, I object also because of some of the vaxxed versus unvaxxed studies. So make the decision you feel most comfortable with. But I no longer feel comfortable saying nothing on the subject to my family, friends, and even greater community about the truth and what I think is most beneficial for us to do with regard to vaccination or not vaccinating. Thank you.